Hello and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition Codex. So, I haven't forgotten about this series. I just needed to unlock some more Codex entries. That was my main problem. I ran out. But now, I have more than I can deal with, so I'm going to make this a weekly series. And I'm going to do as much as I can in each week. And let's see how that goes. So we've got a new section, Tales, which... Oh, we might have had this before. Yeah, we had this before. We're going to do that first. Empress of Fire. Empress of Fire, in the reign of the Lion, eclipsed in the eye of the Emperor of we Elysians. Empress of Fire, what season may come, we fight for the day, you'll restore our heart and bring us to glory. We are forever in your graces. Empress of Fire, save us, everyone. The nation reviles, the course is but run, and end has begun. Empress of Fire, believe in us all. Embrace us with arms, and dress us with swords. Light up our hearts with blood so bold, we are forever in your graces. Empress of Fire, in the reign of the Lion, eclipsed in the eye of the Emperor of we Elysians. Empress of Fire, what season may come, we'll fight for the day you restore our hearts and bring us to glory. As performed by the bard Meriden Haywell. I believe we found this on a statue in Orlais, so presumably let's talk about the Empress of Orlais. That would make sense. I think the images are all the same for this one, it's of the wolf. Okay. Number 2. Or Empress of Fire might be Andraste, because I think she got burned at stake. Maybe? I could be thinking of something else, but anyway. Enchanters. Enchanters, the time has come to be alive with the circle of magi where we thrive with our brothers. Enchanters remind that time will not unwind, the dragon's crooked spine will never straighten into line. Our plea will be a faithful end decree, where man will not retreat from the defeat of his fathers. Enchanters, the time has come for battle lines, we will cut those knotted ties, and some may live and some may die. Enchanter, come to me, enchanter, come to me, enchanter, come to see. You come to see. As you once were blind in the light, now you can sing. In our strength we can rely, and history will not repeat. As performed by the bard Meriden Haywell. So, this might be about the start of the Circle of Magi? Would be my guess. So it's come there, and I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I think it's about the Circle of Magi starting. Maker, have you left me here? Temple sacred ashes, tragic mark upon our land. Sky fall, let darkness rain on thee. Now flee from the dragon's heart. Warring, battle-scarred eyes, breach into the fade has come. Demon, please spare my life and our sons. Okay. Nightingale's eyes. Nightingale's eyes, what secrets lies in their worth? Raven's tears they cry, but all the while they softly lie and spy on you. Nightingale's eyes, what will they find left behind? Craven master spy with the heart remiss for those who could not find the truth. We're blinded, so we're hiding, dying to be. We're hiding from the fighting, longing to see. We're waiting for someone to speak and set us all free. Nightingale's eyes can free the ties on our hands. Craven master spies, can they find the key that can unlock the past? We're hiding from the fighting, longing to see. We're waiting for someone to speak and to set us all free. Free. As performed by the bard Meriden Haywell. Nightingale. Sounds a bit like Liliana, maybe? I don't know. Or the bards in general. Once we were, in our peace, with our lives assured. Once we were, not afraid of the dark. Once we sat in our kingdom with hope and pride. Once we ran through the fields with great strides. We held the fade and the demon's flight, so far from our children and so far from our lives. We held together the fragile sky to keep our way of life. Once we raised up our chalice in victory. Once we sat in the light of our dreams. Once we were in our homeland with strength and might. Once we were not afraid of the night. Not entirely sure what this one's about. Rise, find me, still searching for someone to lead me. Can you guide me to the revolt inside me? Promise, surviving the breach. Promise, surviving the breach in the sky. Templar, igniting fire inside me. Maker, remind me, gone are the days of our peace. Now we reside in the great divide. No promise, surviving the breach in the sky. Pretty obvious that's about the breach. Yeah. Sarah never was. So Sarah's one of our companions. Sarah was never quite an agreeable girl. Her tongue tells tales of rebellion, but she was so fast and quick with her bow, no one quite knew where she came from. Sarah was never quite the quietest girl. Her attacks were loud and they're joyful, but she knew the ways of nobler men, and she knew how to enrage them. She would always like to say, why change the past when you can own this day? Today she will fight to keep her way. She's a rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate. Sarah was never quite the wealthiest girl. Some say she lives in a tavern, but she was so sharp and quick for a bow, arrows strike like a dragon. Sarah never was quite the gentlest girl. Her eyes were sharp like razor, but she knew just the ways of the commoner men, and she knew just how to use them. Okay. So I'm guessing Mary Mariden Haywell. This kind of seems like this would be from like she's telling it from after all of these events have passed. Like after the events of this game, almost. I don't know. Because Sarah's being in a tavern is where she is when she's hanging around as the companion. Okay, so yeah, I think we've read these. If they have a star on them, we haven't read them. Right, okay. Perils of bard life. As a bard, you're welcome anywhere in Ortley. Doors are open to you with generous smiles. The wearer is confident that no one would falsely pretend to such a title for fear of retribution. Your slightest request is immediately seen to. Your services are expensive and yet actively sought, and those who cannot afford them beg only to not have your displeasure turned their way. One day, however, you will awaken. You will realize the smiles are false, and behind them lies revenge. At the first moment of weakness, your brother and your sister bards will unleash upon you like a pack of hounds, and you will realize they are not your brothers and sisters at all. For all your fancy intrigue, you have spent your life creating nothing of worth. You have been swallowed by the web of your own deceits in the game of which you believed yourself master. It moves on without you, uncaring. From a letter signed Sister Nightingale. I'm almost certain this is Liliana, and I think it's still related to the Nightingales that they were talking about before. Up in, was it this one? I could be wrong. Right, leave the image up for a second or two if you want to see it. And we'll move on. I assume we've read the rest of these. Okay, places. Now, places is likely to contain spoilers for the, more major spoilers for the game, because it'll be places I've gone, so if you don't want to know that, then this is your warning. Redcliffe. King Calenhad Theron once famously declared, "The fate of Redcliffe is the fate of all Ferelden." Certainly the castle is the first and last defence for the sole land route into Ferelden, and the country has never fallen to any force that did not first capture Redcliffe. The castle, which despite being 3 times captured, is popularly described as unassailable. Also guards one of the largest and most prosperous towns in Ferelden. Redcliffe village is well situated near the mountain pass to Orzammar and the Orlesian border, and so serves as a centre of foreign trade. For these reasons, Redcliffe is accounted an Arling despite the smallness of the domain. The inhabitants of Redcliffe Village are primarily fishermen and merchants who ship dwarven goods through the pass from Orlais to Denerim. When the entire village smells of smoked fish on certain late autumn mornings, the merchants in their finery do their utmost to pretend otherwise. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. Oh, there's more. The events of the Ferelden Civil War left Redcliffe in tatters. Its reconstruction has been a slow process, but the city has made remarkable recovery after its ordeal at the hands of young Lord Conor Gwerin. After the Battle of Denerim, Arl Eamon gave the Arling over to his younger brother in order to devote his full attention to advising the throne. He left the new Earl Tegan with the monumental task of rebuilding the town and perhaps even greater challenge of dealing with the influx of mages into the area following the breaking of the circles. From The Changing Face of Thedas by Sister Petrin, Chantry Scholar. Yeah, I was hearing Earl Tegan all the way through when I was going through this area, and I was thinking, it's Ban Tegan, right? But they kept saying Earl. But this explains it. Because I knew it was Arl Lehman. Okay. Next place. Saharan. Catalyze the process. The goal is fear. The Quinari in Saharan's markets must fear that everyone who serves their food is a rebel looking for a chance to slip poison into a Quinari's plate. The rebels must fear that every farmer they pass in the fields is a Ben Hasrath spy ready to bring soldiers running. And the commoners, the peasants, they must fear everyone. They see rebels like fires that kill Quinari and commoners alike. They see Ben Hasrath arrest commoners who we all know are innocent. When these events do not occur naturally, it is our duty to catalyze the process. Only when the commoners of Saharan fear the rebels and hate the Quinari will the Imperium be seen as the preferable option. The actions we take here may seem cruel, but to succeed we must agitate until all of Saharan hates both the rebels and the Quinari for their actions. Only when the people are broken can we save them. Only when they fear all others will they accept the aid of the Imperium. Any good soldier would kill 10 men to save 20. We must bring terror to Saharan so that one day bring peace. An excerpt from a training manual given to Tevinter operatives joining the Sicarii, whose existence has been officially denied. Now, Saharan is the main, I think it's the main Quinari, like where they live. I don't know if it's a city or a country, but I'm fairly certain that's where it is. So, Tevinter Imperium has its eyes on a lot of expansion. I wonder if that's going to come into play. The Storm Coast. I cannot say whether the Storm Coast receives more inclement weather than the other stretch of northern Ferelden coastline. That hasn't stopped the region from boasting more than its fair share of tragic tales. If all are to be believed, rich merchant ships blanket the depths due to the follies of their proud captains. The infamous, and most unlikely fictional, pirate Denel of Sail gave up the sea to become a Grey Warden while standing on these shores, and countless young women pine for the grooms lost to the waves. I witnessed nothing so fanciful in my brief sojourn to this coast. However, the area is sparsely populated, and as I watched the waking sea strike the shore, I could see why such tales are born. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. It has resources found there. The Summer Bazaar. We rededicate to this jewel of Valrio as the Summer Bazaar of the First Line to reflect the spirit of renewal that is the heart of the capital and our people. Let the strength of the Four always guide the grace of the Empire. Let the blossoms and promise of the changing seasons be a tribute to trade and public gathering. For here, in the name of the Lion Valmont, we will be an example to the world of how Elysians respond to adversity. Our way cannot be threatened, for it embodies the truth of tradition and promise of progress. The blight finds no purchase in the heart of commerce. A plaque dedicating the Summer Bazaar for victories earned and to come, placed in 530 Exalted. Therenfall Redoubt. I have heard the complaints. Some of you do not understand why we train in a castle in the wilderness when you're to seek out corruption amongst the masses. You question a seeker's foresight. Doubt assails you. Why have you come to Thernthal? What can you learn here that you could not learn on your own? Patience is what you will learn. With no city to distract or tempt you, you will practice. You will fail. You will suffer. And when we are done, you will be a rock upon which demons break. Now let us begin. The transcript of a speech by Lord Seeker Alderi to a batch of students beginning advanced lessons is dated 770 Storm. The Seekers used Thernthal Redoubt as a training ground until 899 Blessed, when their finances were insufficient to keep the fortress in desirable condition. From notable fortresses, castles, towns, and other edifices interest in Ferelden. Edifices of Interest in Ferelden by Henry Lannon. So Thernthal Redoubt is where the Templars were training and where they all retreated to after the events of Val Royeaux. Talking of Val Royeaux, any resident of Royan will say that it's the greatest city in the world. Many take such pride for arrogance, but they do so through smiles as they nod in agreement, for such is the cost of doing business in the capital. Val Royeaux is in every way a world leader, in commerce, culture, and its own exaggerated beauty. The site was founded during Evron's grand unification, the result of a mix of influences not so much balanced as driven together. And while such an amalgamation would be cause for chaos elsewhere, the prosperity of the region has enabled an upward spiral of indulgence. The capital's endured the ages to become a beacon of civilization, and its citizens are the measure of modernity. Just ask them. An element of Val Royeaux is the notoriously risque, and it exists harmoniously beside the aristocratic and the palace bureaucrats. Indeed, the aristocracy tends to indulge in the city's darker side quite frequently, if discreetly, and that only adds to the mystique. Nobility elsewhere tends to be much more conservative and concerned about their reputation. Even a trip into the capital to indulge a few private pleasures is not completely out of the question. In Val Royeaux, transgressions are suffered and forgiven with flamboyant urgency. That is not to say the city is without lasting scandal or hardship, but one must squint past the gilding to be allowed even a glimpse, as Royans are very careful about the face they present. Such it is with the mass of nobility and the underbelly of their streets, exerted from Val Royeaux, excesses, grand and otherwise, by formerly Sister Laudin. Okay. So, we've been through all the new places. Let's see. Got about 10 minutes left. Magic. Got one new here. I think we'll be able to get through a couple more minutes. Vitar? Yeah, I think Vitar. After extensive study of the Quinari specimens you've kindly provided, have come to the conclusion that the painted markings on their face and body are not, in fact, solely for ceremonial purpose, but provide a practical benefit. Or I'm certain there is some cultural significance to the patterns and colours they choose, but the Quinari do nothing without purpose, yes? They call these markings Vitar, which in their tongue means poison armour. It's called this because the markings are magical in nature and actually harden their skin to an iron-like quality without hindering flexibility. My analysis says the paint consists largely of poison. It's mixed with something else, blood, perhaps their own, and that neutralizes the poison, but only for one with Quinari physiology. Anyone else would perish almost instantly, which reminds me I'll kindly require another body slave. The process activates the magical qualities of the poison, which provides the protective effects, almost in the same manner that lyrium runes do. How this works, and whether it can be used for our purposes, will require further study, perhaps some live specimens this time. From a letter written by Namera Organis, apprentice to Magister Varus, Dragon 932. So this is Tevinter experimenting on the Quinari to see if they can understand their secrets. Interesting. Devinter seemed very, very interested in Quinari. That's what I'm getting from this. History. We have some new one? We have one new one. Okay. The wrath of heaven. Those who oppose thee shall know the wrath of heaven. Field and forest shall burn, the seas shall rise and devour them. The wind shall tear their nations from the fact of the earth. Lightning shall rain down from the sky, and they shall cry out to their false gods, and find silence. Should this not be face of the earth? The wind shall tear their nations from the face of the earth? Does it really mean fact? Who was Andraste? This question has lingered in the ages since her death, not easily answered as the faithful assume. Born an Alamari slave in the frontier realm of Tevinter Imperium, now Ferelden, the chant says she is the bride of the Maker. That he told her in a vision of her role leading the rebellion against the corrupt magisters. Is it true, or as some early Andrastian cults believe, did a friendly spirit bestow this vision? We must remember that the legends of Andraste were multitude in the years immediately following her execution, and the beliefs we take for granted belong to the cult, victorious in suppressing all others. Indeed, even to suggest there was once disagreement was considered the dearest heresy until today, when we have lost even the memory of disagreement. All we know for certain is that Andraste inspired a world gripped with tyranny and chaos, and that she helped spark a war which tore all of Thedas asunder. From Questioning the Chant by Magister Vibis Agoran. So this is, again, Tevinter. And it seems like, given that they got beaten by Andraste, they're probably not the biggest fan of the chant tree, and I imagine they don't follow the chant. They might. Anyway. So they are looking for ways to... if Andraste wasn't holy, that would definitely suit their purposes. Now, it said we have one more. Ah, there it is. Champions of the Just. Blessed are they who stand before the corrupt and the wicked and do not falter. Blessed are the peacekeepers, the champions of the just. Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their name the Maker's will is written. Cancel of Benedictions 4:10 up to 11. When Andraste preached these verses, she offered her followers a path of virtue. In their blood the Maker's will is written, and usually interpreted to mean sacrificing one's life for a righteous cause. But like most of the chant, deeper meaning hides beneath the surface. In their blood can be understood as a reference to the continuity, an unbroken line of humble behaviour required to please the Maker. Rather than a physical fight against a demon or apostate, Andraste meant this verse as a warning that her faithful should judge their hearts' intentions, questioning those who would lead them astray. Champions of the just are those with the courage to admit their wrongdoing, while letting none continue in their sight. Unsurprisingly, the fourth stanza is popular among militant branches of the chantry, such as Knight Enchanter and the Templar Order. Notes on the Chant of Light by Mother Bezoria of the Gand Cathedral, 939 Dragon. Okay. Groups. We got a few here. I think this one's new as well, although it was the first one. Detainee has already confessed to resisting arrest when Ben Hathrath came for his co-worker. Circumstantial evidence suggests he was part of a group planning to become a Tal Vashoth, a Quinari that leaves the Quinari, I believe. Co-worker died attempting to escape. Detainee requires evaluation for possible reintroduction into society instead of the Quemark treatment. He's been denied sleep and given restricted portions of food and water as noted below. Day 1. Detainee restrained, given water but no food. Detainee requests to use latrine, was told cleanliness part of the Kun, and that he decided to attack the Kun. Detainee asked why he murdered Ben Hathras. Responded that he had only defended himself. Detainee eventually urinated on the floor. Detainee, given light food and water, told he could use the latrine if he could demonstrate ability to follow the Khun. Detainee asked why he murdered Ben Hathras, answered that he fought them to protect his co-worker, did not murder them. Detainee told that lying is unacceptable under the Khun. Detainee observed re-educators eating and drinking and engaging in conversation about their daily activities while Detainee stood. Day 3, Detainee refused food and water, was taken outside and showing Quabala rooting through garbage for food. Detainee was told he is similar to Quabala, as neither he nor it follows the Khun. Also told Quabala is better than Detainee, as Quabala is too stupid to follow the Khun, while Detainee could follow it but made a conscientious choice to refuse. Detainee is asked why he murdered Ben Hathras. Detainee answered that he was angry and trying to protect his friend. Detainee, shown drawings of dead Tamasarians and children, told these are the drawings of people in Saharan killed by Tal Vashoth. Detainee told that all Tal Vashoths do this. If Detainee wishes to be Tal Vashoth, he must go to Education Center and kill Tamasarians now. Detainee became visibly upset. Detainee asked why he murdered Ben Hathras, answered that he was wrong and lied to by his co-worker. Day 5. Detainee continues to show remorse, is visibly happy when reminded that Khun offers a place for all people. Detainee washed, given new clothes and food, allowed to sleep. Upon waking, Detainee asked whether he would prefer to be Tal Vashoth or Quanari. Detainee answered he will remain Quanari. Detainee released to road crew for simple labour and will be watched by observers on team. Excerpt from Ben Hathras re-education report smuggled out of Parvalon. This is quite an extreme process that we've just gone through here, and very, very quick to get him to change his mind. So yeah, they effectively torture them. Well, like, they torture them on one side and then show them the carrot on the other side where it's but the Khun's good, and the Khun you don't get food denied and you're allowed to go to the toilet and you're given new clothes and washed and you don't have to murder children. It's very extreme. Anyway, next time we'll finish up the groups. We'll move on to creatures and characters, and then I guess I'll need to have unlocked some more for the time after that. See you then. Goodbye.